All right, welcome. Another Crossroad Consulting XR Insights with Billy Rhodes and my brother Jeff here. Today we have a special guest, Bob Ruffolo with Impact. They're a marketing specialty company, and Bob, welcome.
Billy, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
And
we will let
Jeff,
you. Give you a little background of your experience and what you guys do. And yeah, I know Jeff just met you at the Impact Live that you guys put on in Chicago. He said it was a great event. So,
I really enjoyed it. It was 2.5 days. It was intense. There's a lot of good stuff. And the thing that most of all I'd like you to talk about, Bob, is what you guys do at Impact, how you do it, et cetera, because it's really fascinating. You're not a typical marketing group. It's something, and being a co-founder, and you started about 16 years ago. I'm stealing some of your thunder, but if you don't mind, just give us the overview of how you got started.
Yeah. So 16 years ago, I was coming out of the recession, and I had graduated with a marketing degree. No agency would hire me, so I ended up starting my own business. Started off as a web design company. Shortly after doing a bunch of websites, clients come back, said, "We love our new website. It's beautiful, but I think it's broken. We're not getting leads from it." So I had to start working, figuring out how do we start getting more leads for clients. And we eventually evolved into more of a marketing agency. But along the way, we had some clients who were successful, but we had a lot that weren't, and that was not going to be good enough for us. And we really started exploring what was out there and what could we be doing better. Jeff, as you could probably tell from our experience together, we don't settle for mediocre. We want to be exceptional for the clients that we serve and everything that we do. And I came across a gentleman. I had known him for a while, but really got serious understanding his philosophies for marketing. He was a peer in the industry. His name was Marcus Sheridan. When I started really interacting with him, say around 2016, 2017, he had a book called They Ask You Answer. And what was fascinating about They Ask You Answer and the work he was doing, first off, he was not an agency. He very early on said, "I'm not going to do your marketing for you. You're going to do it yourself. I'm happy to teach you how to do great marketing." But he had the foundational belief that great marketing has to come from within the organization, the knowledge, the expertise that businesses have, which I thought was very brilliant. But he also has this book, They Ask You Answer, and the whole premise of it was all these buyers out there, buyers that could be buying from your company or my company, all of our companies, they have lots of questions. They do a lot of research. And where most businesses, they underestimate how much research that a buyer will actually do before ever reaching out to a company. And then he found these studies that said 70% of the time, now it's 80% of the buying journey is actually complete before a company, a prospect ever reaches out to a company. So that means before we ever know that our prospect is interested in us, they've already done 80% of their research. And he said, well, what are these people looking for? They're doing research on price. So they want to know what can go wrong if I make this purchase. What other options are out there? They're doing all this research, right? Well, what's interesting is that the things that buyers care about most when they're doing their research are the exact things businesses avoid addressing on their website or online. And it's this really interesting dichotomy. It's like we want to know the stuff, we're researching it, but businesses won't address it. And that's what he addressed in his first book, They Ask You Answer. And what happens was, and I'll pause here in a second, when businesses do actually address these topics, that's what makes content marketing work. That's what makes your website work. That's where the leads are coming from. And very few businesses are doing that. And that was the magic of that first book that Marcus came out with.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And that's something that I picked up on and really took a bunch of notes about, because you're exactly right. The websites talk about what they want to say, but not what the buyer is looking for. You guys gave some amazing statistics on YouTube, along with some other things. If you don't mind, YouTube, I had no idea it was as important and powerful as it truly is.
Yeah. Well, going back to this book, this came out originally in 2017. We did a light update to it in 2019 after Marcus and I merged our companies together. We talked a lot more about video in this book. But to your point, since that book came out in 2019, the world has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
First we had a global pandemic that changed the way businesses, did business fundamentally across the world, right? As humans, we've grown to be more and more impatient. We want our answers now, faster. There's been the rise of short form video, certainly just video in general, which you're going to. Of course, the advent of AI has changed everything as well. So that needed us to update the book, and it's got a new name. It's called Endless Customers now. But talking about YouTube, one of the biggest things that this book addresses is if you were to go back 5 or 6 years ago, the way we as buyers did a lot of research, we used to go to Google and we would type in something, and what would come up was a whole bunch of blue links.
Mm-hmm.
And we would click on that first blue link. We'd see the ads, but they looked like ads. We knew not to click on those. And we'd click on that first blue link. Fast forward to 2025. If we Google something now, we get pretty much anything but a blue link.
That's exactly right.
The answers right there. We've got AI summaries. We've got so many other things in the search engine. The ads are way more prominent, and those blue links are way down the page. Doesn't mean that businesses can't still rank number one. What businesses are finding, though, is that a number one ranking is getting them significantly less traffic than it used to. For a lot of reasons. We want instant gratification. We don't want to click on a blue link and keep digging anymore. We just want the answer in front of us. But what has actually grown in importance is YouTube. While Google is probably still the number one search engine, YouTube's not that far behind it. It's the number two most used search engine in the world. And even in search results, you often now see a lot of YouTube results in the search results. So people are clicking right off of Google, going straight to YouTube. We want to watch the answers today. And a lot of it has to do with authenticity. It does with trust, right? We've all landed on articles and search results, and we're like, all right, could be written by some ghostwriter overseas. Is it written by AI now? We don't know anymore. We've all seen these articles where they just look like company just spam and marketing, where video is a lot harder to produce. We can feel the person on the other side of the camera. We can earn more trust with the person on the other side of the camera. Therefore, YouTube is becoming a much more significant part of the way we all make purchasing decisions.
Yeah, it's interesting how companies utilize their website to draw traffic, but it's getting harder and harder to get traffic from your website. And I thought your philosophy on YouTube, the fact that YouTube is actually becoming more important than the website, and I can see that some of the work that we're doing with our XR Consulting and our YouTube page, this whole concept of helping the buyer buy is, to me, cutting edge, because as you alluded to earlier, websites and presentations are more geared towards what you want to say versus what the buyer wants to hear and learn. Yeah. So this whole concept of teaching the buyer how to buy, I think that's what YouTube is all about, the teaching side of it.
Well, exactly, along the authenticity. But then you have this other factor, is all the social proof, right? When you guys know, when you're creating videos and if you create something really, really good and you're sharing with people, they get value out of it, they like it, they comment on it. And unaware buyers, we can see videos with engagement, and that is another factor we decide, do we trust you or not? If your videos had, say, 1,000 likes on it and 100 comments, and they're all positive comments about how much they love you guys, that's a lot of energy going to your brand that you can capitalize on. So your website can have some of that, but as buyers and just as individuals, we know companies control their own websites, they can put wherever they want on there, right?
Right.
So having some of, whether it be YouTube or it could be, any other social platform or short form video, when we see all this engagement, these are all signals that this brand has something serious to say and we should pay attention.
Take us through the process and how you work with companies, the types of companies that you work for, who's the best fit for you, but take us through the process and how you start the conversation and come to a strategy.
Yeah. Well, first off, we're not for everybody, and we understand that. We work with a certain type of business that is looking to really invest in their long-term growth. So any business that are looking for a quick hack or a quick fix, like I often say, we're much more like eating healthy and going to the gym than we are like a quick fix diet pill, right? So for companies that are really looking to build a sustainable marketing engine, a sustainable sales team, that would be a good fit for us. And certainly anyone's looking for leads, right? And obviously we're also looking at companies that are of a certain size, are looking to bring marketing in-house and can afford to build a marketing team. Because that's one of the things we help them do really, really well. And, the first and most important thing is to read this book. It's not a very long book on purpose. The Endless Customers, it really is entire philosophies of what we've seen work for hundreds of companies now. They're looking to get their revenue engines going, from a content strategy, video, everything we talked about, their website, self-service on their website, how the sales team and marketing team should be working together, other tools that could be in the sales team's tool belt to help them close faster. So the technology, what technology should be using. So we cover all of that in that book. And if your audience reads that book and it resonates with them, and say, this makes a lot of sense, we should be doing this. And that if they want to work with us, our coaches and trainers work very hands-on with the businesses we work with to make sure they're implementing everything as in that framework to the T. So we review every piece of content, we review every video. We are teaching the sales team exactly how to use those videos and that content in the sales process. We're making sure that the right technology is in place, like HubSpot, and that the entire company is using HubSpot the way they're supposed to. And we score along the way. We have our criteria for what a 10 out of 10 looks like. And every quarter we rescore our clients to see if they're making progress. And if they get a score, call it, an 80, 90 out of 100, that means they're mastering most of the principles of this, and likely they're going to see a significant impact in their customer acquisition funnel.
Yeah, I think you're right on. It takes time. There's not a quick fix, but you have to be consistent at it, which is something else that I gathered out of the symposium in Chicago. I was also really impressed with your coaches, the ones that took the stage, very skilled, very knowledgeable. They communicate extremely well. And I also like the fact that you guys you stay in contact with your clients. You do coach them along. But yeah, I was impressed with your team and just their way of communicating.
Now, I'm completely biased, but I think they're outstanding. And we've worked really hard to get the right people in this organization to make sure that we're delivering at the level we need to be delivering at. We've really gotten lucky with some of the people that are on our team. We've got a really, really good crew. And you keep referencing the event, which is Impact Live. That's a key part of the journey that we take our clients through, because to your point, success leaves clues. Even though our coaches are there, we're on stage, but we're also sharing a lot of the things that members across this community, the Endless Customers community, are doing, whether they're actively working with us or maybe they've gone through our program. They want to get refreshers. They want to stay up to date on all these things. So we put this event on twice a year to get the entire community together, to share and learn together and just remain on the cutting edge. And it's a lot of fun. It's a big part of their journey. And that's how we all grow, is we grow together as a community.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so apparently you guys had a lot of folks there. Majority of them were your customers or folks like Jeff that were invited to come along. Good mix.
It's usually a mix.
Yeah.
There's a lot of companies that maybe have read the book, and they're saying, we're not ready to get started yet, but we want to kind of experience this. It's a great place to go to the event. But there's also people that get recommended saying, hey, there's this event coming up. I know you're looking to grow your business. You're trying to figure out how to get more customers. This is a great place for you to go. And it could be like for Jeff, it was like your first touch point into endless customers into our community. So it's designed for that too. But it's great for the people that have been doing this. As Jeff, you saw, we've had some companies that have been going to this event twice a year for the last 4 or 5 years. And they bring a whole crew. They bring 10 people because they realize how important it is to get back down to the basics, get back down to the fundamentals, get inspired by other companies, because there's always more we can do. We could always get better at something. Or maybe we've heard this thing 10 times before, but we're hearing it's being said the same exact way, but we're at a different stage where we're hearing it differently. We're going to apply it differently. And that's a lot of the magic of the event. So
did you come home with one of these books?
I did.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
Please share.
Yeah, but what
So
was
need more, let me know.
cool is during the symposium, we went through a lot of the material in the book. And it could have lasted another day. I was so engaged that I'm thinking, man, this could easily have gone on another day. But I did meet some of your clients, and it was really interesting. The diversity of we had roofers in there, right?
Oh, a lot of roofers. Yeah.
A lot of roofers. I was shocked. Yeah. And they're small contractors, but these guys are absolutely engaged and absorbed by creating better marketing strategy for their roofing company. Yeah. And then I met a woman who does quilts. These are high-end quilts. These are celebrity type quilts that she makes. Fascinating business. And then of course you had a client come from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Real estate client, and they were knocking it out of the park because of some of the strategies that, if there's anybody you would like to highlight and give a little bit further insight, please do.
Well, definitely the philosophies of this book will resonate with a lot of home services companies because Marcus comes from home services. His whole journey of how he discovered these principles of they ask you answer in the first place was from him trying to save his pool business during the recession in the late 2000s. So he had to save his business. He figured out inbound marketing, figured out what content he needed, what to use in the sales process. And he just became the most trafficked swimming pool website on the internet. And then he started going out and speaking about it. So his story would resonate with roofers, with siding companies, home for basement companies. So a lot of our clients are in that realm, but certainly they extend. I mean, we have $1 billion manufacturing company that often comes to these events. They were there when you were there.
Wow.
And yeah, we you mentioned Andrea with 2 cool quilts or 2 cool t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome company. Andrea's awesome. Very, very brilliant. But any company that is looking to generate better leads off the internet, better sales opportunities off the internet, they know their buyers do a lot of research before reaching out. If that's your type of business, then this framework would be a good fit for you.
So I have a question regarding the quality of content on YouTube, right? Because you see a lot of instructional videos and it's just somebody holding their phone up, which those are very helpful. Trust me, I've used them. Then you see some that are like full on production, look commercial. I mean, is there a way to go? I mean, some say do it where it's just really natural, and then others say, do a production and make it look really professional. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know if production, I think my opinion on this is, production is nice to have. If you can do it, then do it, but it's not necessary. I'll give you a really interesting story that in my personal life that happened that I think will answer your question. I had my house and my basement had flooded a couple of years ago. Fixed all the issues, but at some point I'm going to put my basement back together. So I went online and I was watching videos on basement designs and how to optimize the space and how to get really creative, right? So I'm watching a few different videos and I see this one guy and he's showing off this basement that he did, all these secret compartments for the electrical panel and how he optimized every inch of the basement. And he's showing it off and talking through his thought process and why he did it. And I just was like, that's my guy. When I put my basement back together, I'm calling him. I only want to work with him. I don't know where in the world he is, but I'm going to have him. I'll fly him out to Connecticut, and I just want him doing my basement. That's the power of YouTube if you do this right. So when you think about the production, could he have been there with a cell phone? Probably. These iPhones are incredible today, right? You don't need a huge. It's do I relate to you? Do I feel like I can learn from you, or you could solve my problem, or you're the right person for me, and I want to work with you and no one else? So another great story that's actually in the book is this girl who got a job at a furniture store, a Lazy Boy store down in Southeast United States, probably your area. And she gets this job as a salesperson, a designer at Lazy Boy. And they tell her, we do, at the time they ask you answer in our company, and all of our salespeople and all of our designers here, they embrace video. So if you're going to take this job, you're going to be in front of the camera. And she was really shy, and she was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. Well, she decided, what do I got to lose? I'm going to do it. She went all in on video. She practiced her skills. She got better on camera over time. She was just being herself, but she was a very gifted designer. So she'd go and have all these YouTube videos and she'd share her design styles and make her creations and do all this. Well, it didn't take very long. People were walking in the store, not saying, hey, can I talk to a salesperson? Or no, I'm just browsing. People would come into the store and be like, is Ellie here? I want to talk to Ellie. And they only wanted to work with her. That's the power of this. That's the level of trust that if you're going to do YouTube and you want to get business from it, you got to show up as somebody that people are going to say, I need that person. I want to work with them. I want to talk to them.
That's very interesting. Very interesting.
On your or in your philosophy, you talk a lot about doing things that others aren't doing, saying things that others aren't doing. A lot of it has to do, and there's plenty of room to expand on doing things that others aren't doing. The one thing that really caught my attention was your suggestions or recommendations that you put something on your website and or your YouTube video about price. Can you talk a little bit about that? Why is it important to talk about price on your website?
So Jeff, have you ever been to a website, like especially software? That's usually the good one. And you're looking at the features and you're saying, okay, this could be a cool tool for me. But then you're like, I wonder if it's even in the budget. Can I even afford it? What happens if you're looking on the website and you can't find anything about how much that software or that product costs?
You're going to be leery to move forward and click on buttons. I can tell you, I would be.
Think the worst, that it's going to be an arm and a leg and a foot,
You're exactly right. First off, that's exactly what we're thinking. If they're not putting their price on here, there's a reason why they're not. They must be so expensive. And are you going to reach out to a company that just says call for quote?
Yeah. Okay.
Probably not, because you're going to enter a sales pitch and you're going to go through all these hoops before they ever tell you what the price is. That's going to probably be a price that in your mind you think you can't afford. So by knowing buyers before they ever reach out to a company, want to know how much the thing is going to cost. At least give me a range, give me a ballpark. Can I afford you or not? Right? So we all, as buyers, no matter what we're buying, it could be a car, a house, a piece of equipment for our office, a piece of technology, we're always saying, is this even in the budget? Can I afford this? So by just simply addressing the question, at least gives buyers confidence that, yeah, maybe I should or should not reach out to them, but they're going to like you and trust you a lot more because you at least answered the question. You're not creating this resistance and this, the opposite is that, I don't trust you because you're hiding something from me. I know you know what your product costs. Why can't you just tell me? Now you don't even want to do business with them. Marcus has a funny story too. It's like if you go to a restaurant and you look at a menu and you see the lobster, but the lobster says market price. How often does anyone say, "Excuse me, waitress, how much is the lobster today?" Because what would happen if you didn't order the lobster? It's going to be like, oh, is it cheap or whatever it is, right? Like, no, but they just put the price of the lobster. Probably sell a lot more lobster.
I pointed at Jeff because when his kids were little, we all went to dinner with this big group, and they just ordered the surf and turf. It said market price. They didn't know. It came back about $100 a person.
But you know what, though, when you get somebody that does call you or inquires, they've already got they're a more qualified lead because you put something on your website regarding price, whether it's a range, as you stated. At least they're not shielded. They don't have the shield up, when they call in.
Another great story from Marcus from back in the day when he was selling pools. So he came up with this whole philosophy, they ask, you answer. He addressed every question he ever was asked by a prospect, and he wrote it in a blog article on his website. One day he gets a notification in his HubSpot portal that somebody's on his website, and they looked at 250 pages on his website. So at first Marcus was like, oh, this guy must be crazy, whatever. And then later that night, he finds somebody with the same last name, a woman, who looked at 150 pages on the website. What they were doing was all their research. So Marcus thought they're going to be a little bit weird, but goes into the sales appointment and shows up there. This guy's got a spreadsheet. He knew exactly what pool he wanted. He knew every single option he wanted. He knew how much everything was going to cost within a range. He knew how the process was going to go from start to finish. He knew everything because he did his research. All Marcus had to do was get the exact price of what it was going to be. That sales appointment took him like 15 minutes. The buyer was 99% of the way there all the way, just because Marcus was willing to address all this on his website. So you talk about having a qualified buyer, like that's what we're doing for our sales team. The more education, people are doing their research anyways. If you're not giving this information, and maybe you're lucky enough that you get prospects into your sales funnel, now you got to go through all these hoops to educate them and all these hoops to hope that they can afford it, and you're wasting your salespeople's time. But by the time, if you actually address all these things, you're going to get a lot more leads to your website, through your website, and when they're in the sales process, it's going to go a lot faster because they're already educated.
So I'm probably going to answer my own question here, but is there a difference between a tangible product and an intangible product when you're doing what you just stated?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, certainly if you have a product that has an exact price, like we sell this piece of equipment for $49.99, I think it's still important to say why it's $49.99. How does that compare to other products, and what's the value you get for $49.99, right? So I think that's one way to go. But the other part of it is just address the question. I don't think there's a single salesperson in the world that they had a prospect go to them and say, hey, listen, just tell me, give me a range. What is this going to cost? They couldn't at least address the question. So, and there's obviously things that make the price go up and make it go down. You can address all that on your website and content.
Yeah.
Yeah. The typical sales person, at least in my 30 years of HR outsourcing experience, is they dump truck product and features, but you guys take an entirely different approach. It's more on the teaching side. It's more about how to use this product, how to use this service. Maybe you can expand a little bit on that.
Yeah, just in terms of, I'm sorry, ask that in a different way.
Yeah, the product dumping, product feature dumping, instead of talking to the prospect, listening to the product, part of the educational process.
Yeah, it's all. I mean, it's all it is. It's all education. Again, as buyers, we have lots of questions. We have problems that we all have problems in our life we're looking to solve, and usually the first place we'll go is the internet. These days, it tends to be a little bit more like ChatGPT. It used to be all Google, but it's becoming a little bit more ChatGPT. By the way, the content that you used to create to rank in Google is the same content you need to create to be recommended by AI. So as we're talking about creating all this content, written form, videos on YouTube, podcasts, all of that is still incredibly important today, because that's how these AI systems learn. They learn from the content that's readily available on the internet. So all that's still really important. But we all go to the internet to solve our problems, and we have lots of questions we ask. So the companies that address those questions, and it could be about around price, it could be what could go wrong, it could be this versus this, it could be anything about what the experience is going to be like, who am I going to work with, or any question along that buying journey. If we're addressing that better than anyone else, and that goes back to what you're saying before, talking about things that others are not willing to talk about, showing what others are not willing to show, selling in ways others are not willing to sell, and of course being human in ways others are not willing to be human, even more important today, then you're way more likely to earn that trust and win the business.
You mentioned AI, and that was brought up quite a bit during the symposium. AI is obviously changing the world, and the impact on marketing. What are your thoughts on there's so many different forms of AI.
Oh, yeah.
Do you see any? Obviously, there's pros and cons with AI. Well, what is your insight on AI as it relates to marketing?
I love it. I mean, I use it every single day. It is one of the most fascinating, obviously the internet was one of the most fascinating once in a lifetime things that you would ever see. And now AI, it's like another once in a lifetime. We're very lucky to be living in the age that we do. The power of it to help you solve problems like that, to create content, to ideate, to take on tasks and stuff that we just don't want to do, we keep forgetting to do, and just make sure that all that's automated. And where it's going to go in terms of agents is just some of the most fascinating stuff in the world. I know even at the event, Marcus was talking about how this is going to, he strongly believes, I do too, that this is going to help us cure cancer and cure diseases that humans just on their own couldn't do. It is some of the most fascinating technology in the world. Now, just like any technology, just like any strategy or tactic, companies are going to abuse it. Companies are going to misuse it, and it's going to harm their brands and their businesses. So it's the general principle that we lean into when it comes to AI or really anything with marketing is, will this help induce more trust? And if it will, then you should do it. And if it doesn't, then you shouldn't do it. If we filter all of our decisions in terms of what we're going to be doing with AI and any other strategy tactic through that lens, we're always going to win. So can AI create a better experience for people even calling into our offices than humans can? Sometimes, I mean, if you have ever had a really bad call center experience, there are AI chats that can handle that significantly better and faster than a call center can. So maybe that is a better customer experience that we can provide. And then when you integrate that with technology and cell phones and text message and confirming appointments and doing contracts, all done by AI, we don't have to wait for a human or deal with a human that's offshore, whatever it is. And it's because I'm not dealing with US-based employees, but I'm dealing with AI. Now my costs are going to be less, or my price as a consumer is going to be less all day, right?
Yeah.
But when we think about like content creation, what people are going to do wrong is they're going to just go and ask ChatGPT to output something, and then we're just going to copy and paste it and put it on our website and be like, oh, we're blogging. It's like, no, like you're just outputting the same garbage that everyone else is going to be putting out. That's not saying what others are not willing to say. It's saying what everyone else is saying. So you're really saying nothing, right? So when we teach clients that we believe AI for content creation is such a powerful thing, but there's a right and a wrong way to use it. And that's why being more human than others are willing to be cannot be removed from the mix. Just the fact that we're having this conversation and people will believe watching this video that we are actual human beings having a conversation with each other is going to have a lot more credibility. But it doesn't mean that we can't be AI avatars and say, hey, listen, for efficiencies, we are using AI avatars on this conversation, but doesn't devalue what we're saying here today. And we do this for a reason, to create a better experience for you. So again, I just think the whole idea of AI is that it has to be used responsibly, done well, but it's a powerful, powerful thing like we'll never see again in our lifetime. Like, maybe we will, but
Yeah, well, you never know, right? As fast as things are moving these days. But you brought up the avatars, and when Jeff came back from your event, he was telling me about it. So we were, dabbling in creating some avatars and things like that. Just if you would, a few pointers on what you should do, shouldn't do, things like that.
Yeah, I right now experiment with them. Obviously, read everyone's terms of use before you start using any AI tool. You want to know how your personal data is going to be used, especially if it's your image and likeness. We like a tool called HeyGen. Again, before anyone here starts using it, I would highly recommend you check out their terms. But we like it. We're using it. We're experimenting with it. It's pretty fascinating that it looks pretty realistic. I think right now, especially for short videos, like anything that's maybe 15 seconds to 30 seconds, it could do a pretty lifelike video. So use cases can be just sending a very quick video to somebody. But where we think this technology will go for marketers that we're really excited about is, you go to Impact's website and you're greeted by either myself or Marcus. And based on everything I've ever written, everything I've ever said online, or everything I've trained it, you can have a conversation with me in real time and not have to wait to schedule it to be on my calendar. But it's like I'm talking to you just like I'm talking to you right now. And everything I know and say. And I can have an entire sales appointment with you as me, even though I'm not really there. We think that's going to be a realistic use case probably within the next 12 months.
Are you really there right now? Is that you? All right. And then one other thing that Jeff brought back was the video emails, which I found really cool. We just started looking at some stuff today, but give us a little insight on that, if you would.
I love it. So it's called one-to-one video is the term. A lot of people use. That's the term we use when we talk about it. And it's the idea that video just is more human. It's also faster, and you can convey tone and be yourself through video that you just can't be in text, specifically text-based emails. So we recommend tools like Vidyard or Wistia or Loom. These are all Chrome extensions. Some are paid, some are even free. And instead of sitting down and opening up your Outlook or Gmail and typing out an email, you just turn it on, your camera's right there, and you talk to it and you say, hey, Jeff, hey, Billy, hey, I really enjoyed being on your show the other day. Thank you so much for having me on there. When you have the recording and you have a process, please send it over to me because I'd love to be able to share that with my network. Again, thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. It's just a lot more human with me saying that than it is if I'm typing it out.
Yeah. So to close this out a little bit, you guys have another Impact event coming up in Hartford. The one in Chicago that I attended was really cool. Learned a lot. It was intense. Met a lot of people. Tell us about your upcoming event in Hartford.
Yeah, so it's going to be the same event. So if you missed out in Chicago in April, it's going to be August 18th through 20th in Hartford, Connecticut. And the event is the entire curriculum, everything we teach here, everything we've been talking about today, end to end in great detail, great examples. We do single track, as you know. We set people on round tables. We have moments for the people at the table to work together. So we teach something and it's how we apply it in our business. We have a conversation, we share across the room. But we're going to go over everything from the principles of how people buy and the importance of trust. And then we talk about the 4 pillars. And then we talk about what's the right content, including video, and how does our website have to perform today, and what's its role. We talk about how sales needs to be involved and their roles and techniques sales teams can use to be more effective and efficient. The right technology. We had a lot of demos of HubSpot, a lot of demos of AI tools. And of course, we say how we package this up, how we actually bring this alive in our organizations. Because what we've also found is that this isn't a tactic. It's not just something that you give to the marketing team and tell them to go do. It's a company-wide initiative. It's like, no, we are all, as a company, leadership, sales, marketing, we're all operating off the same playbook. We're all going to market the same way, and we're going to be supporting each other and doing the same things. So how do you actually bring that to life in your company? So the whole event, end to end, plus we try to make it fun, and you meet a lot of cool people as well.
Yeah, and your website is impactplus.com.
Impactplus.com.
Okay. Yeah, this has been really cool. You know, part of what we do with Crossroads Consulting is we find ecosystem partners, ecosystem components that can bring additional value to our clients and our prospective clients, really focusing on that learning stuff, that teaching stuff, but introducing people to experts. And I was really pleased to meet you, Bob, and your team, because we really don't have a lot in our ecosystem related to marketing, advertising. And you guys really hit a nerve with me. And I can see us developing a relationship with you guys because you're cutting edge. You're talking about stuff that really impacts business from the perspective that you're doing things that others aren't doing. You're doing what you practice, right? So, we're just touching the tip of the iceberg here. There's just so much more to this, and it's such an evolving world. That battle for customers is just getting more and more intense.
I appreciate that, Jeff, and it was awesome getting to meet you at the event. And the work you're doing is incredibly important as well. I mean, so many business owners, this is a crazy world right now, and they're trying to figure out what the right things are for them to be doing. And having somebody like you in their corner that's filtering the good and the bad and seeing through that and being able to bring these resources to the people you serve is a very important job. And I'm really glad that you're doing that.
Yeah, appreciate that. And if you have any comments or questions, our link is below. You can submit some comments, some questions to Bob, and we'll get the answers. We can also help you get connected with Bob, but you can also go to their website, impactplus.com. And don't forget about the Hartford Impact event coming up in August. If you can attend, it's worth your while. Trust me, extremely worth your while. Thank you very much, Bob, for joining us today. And thank you, viewers. We appreciate you more than you know. Thank you.
Once again, we are Crossroads Consulting. I'm Jeff. He's Billy. We're available to talk to you about any issues that come up with regards to your business. Our business model is to help you find solutions. There's no cost, there's no obligation to talk to us. You've seen some of the interviews that we've done. We have a lot of resources that we can bring to the table. We welcome you the opportunity to talk to you about your business and some of the challenges that you're facing now. We'll do our best to find the solutions. Again, there's no cost, no obligation.